Happy Thursday, everybody. That's
A little strong, ain't you?
I guess I broke something already to start the day. That's not how that's supposed to work. All right, well, welcome in everybody to the Thursday edition of Morning Jocks. Well, we will figure that out. But I'm Conrad Van Order alongside Damian Mitchell. Appreciate you being here with us and tuning in each and every morning here to the program. So a lot of great stuff for us to get into today. It was really a fantastic night of college basketball last night in the SEC. Plenty of excitement, plenty of drama to go around, to say the least. We've still got the transfer portal going on. We had a pretty big time decision that was made yesterday that I guess it doesn't directly affect any teams in the SEC necessarily, but it does affect somebody in their future professional career, I would imagine. So a lot going on in the world of college football as we are a day away from the close of the transfer portal. And it's going to be interesting because we were talking about it on Three Man Front yesterday, and Landrum brought this idea up. And it'll be interesting to see, just, do you have some people that, maybe in the closing hours, right? They get to that moment of, I guess I could always come back. I might as well just go ahead and put myself in the portal, right? Because I don't want to miss out on this opportunity, because remember, there is no spring portal now. So this is it. Like, if you want to go somewhere, you have to have your name in there by tomorrow, or else you're out of luck. You are where you are. So it's just going to be fascinating to see. Now that we've made that change, are there, maybe some guys that you're a little surprised about, or just some bigger names, some guys that that's a guy that's going to probably go and fetch seven figures and be an immediate starter somewhere. Do you start to see some of those people in the final hours, make that decision and decide to make that jump into the portal? It's going to be fascinating to see how it goes. And of course, we'll still continue to have portal news even after tomorrow, because people will still be coming out of the portal. But it's been an interesting couple of weeks. Certainly been an interesting couple of weeks, but it's always entertaining, and it's just nice to finally have a little bit of a better idea of what some of these teams are going to look like in 2026 and beyond. But certainly still a lot of work to do for a number of these programs. But we got more time to talk about the transfer portal and what's going on with both Alabama and Auburn on that front, as well as just around the SEC. But let's start off with some college hoops, because you had Auburn in action last night, as well as a handful of other SEC games. But unfortunately for Auburn, they were going on the road to take on Missouri. And going into this, Missouri was 10-0 at home this season. So you knew that was certainly going to be a difficult task there for the Auburn Tigers. And, you got to give credit to Missouri. Auburn kept it close in the first half. It was, a pretty good game, especially considering Missouri was really, they shot the ball very, very well last night. Auburn, not so much. But Auburn, you got to give them credit for being able to keep it interesting. It was a 4-point game at halftime. Missouri was up. And then, again, it was one of those games where Auburn was, I guess, in it in the sense that there were plenty of opportunities where you're like, oh, okay, you're down 6, you're down 8, you're down 10. You could close the gap pretty quickly, but also watching the game, you never really felt like they were going to do it.
Yep.
Just because the shooting wasn't great for Auburn last night. But Missouri, they get the 84-74 victory there. You just look at it for Auburn. Keyshawn Hall had 10 points. Pettiford had 9. You're probably not going to win a whole lot of basketball games this season with this team when those guys are combining for that. Pettiford goes 3 of 12, 0 from the 3-point line. Keyshawn Hall, he goes 0 from deep as well, 2 of 9 on the night there. It was a rough one for them. Elijah Freeman had 13 points. That was the leading scorer for Auburn, him and Kevin Overton there with 13. But you had a couple guys with 20-plus, and Mark Mitchell and Jaden Stone from Missouri. And, when you're shooting – now, the funny thing is they were really bad from the free throw line, Missouri. They missed 10 free throws.
Yep, the worst in the league.
But they shot 55% from the floor and 47% from three. So
it's tough to beat somebody like that.
Yeah, it's just funny that it's like, man, so you were really good shooting the basketball last night. Just free throws, man. That seems to
right.
be an issue for you. But, yeah, nice win for Mizzou.
And Missouri is such a unique team because they play kind of old school. Like, it's not flashy. They'll take a three if they got it. They're not necessarily rushing up and down the floor to look for it. Like, they're patient. They'll swing the ball around, and they get it to their big men. Like, Mark Mitchell was a beast last night. And I think Missouri, because we're just a couple seasons removed where they didn't win, a conference game. Like, this has been a slow build up to where they are. And I think Dennis Gates is a great coach, and I think that he kind of looks at his team year to year and just tries to pick out their identity. And I think this is what Auburn is going to struggle with as we continue into conference play. They remind me so much of Houston. And when you go back and watch the Houston game, you kind of see that they're very similar. They're athletic in a lot of places, and Auburn tries to live and die with shots. And sometimes you just gotta be a little bit more aggressive and get to the paint. And they're just not a great shooting team. And they're leaning on Keyshawn Hall and those guys to be the engine. But somebody has to also be another threat in other ways. Now, defensively, it wasn't like Missouri. They made it difficult at times for Missouri to get shots. Like, some of the shots that Missouri was making were kind of putbacks, or like they were heavily contested. It's just a better shot. And sometimes you just got to, let the chips fall where they may. But I think for Auburn, they've got to find a way. They have to. I'm not to say they don't have enough, but they got to get a little bit more grittier. Like, they got to make games. They have to take games away, because I don't think they can live and die with some of the shooting that they have, and even some of the shot selections that they have. You're telling me this was the best shot that you had? Like, especially with so much time being on the shot clock, they'll take quick shots, and it's when they start to see that they're starting, like the other team is starting to get on a roll, they start to press a little bit more, where they feel like they have to make a shot immediately to stop the run, and I just don't think that's a good calling card for them moving on.
Yeah, I mean, Stephen Pearl, if you listen to him after the game, he was certainly, I would say, trying to send a message last night to the team with some of his comments. So this is, I think, the one that a lot of people, would stand out or kind of the big takeaway. This is him, Stephen Pearl, after the game last night. He said, quote, "We lost this game before we even got here. We didn't have great body language today." He would then go on to say, "I have to do a better job of getting our guys in the right mindset. We need some leadership on this team to step up," end quote. So that's, there you go. That's from the coach right there. He said, body language was never good. Like, they didn't want to play today. And, making it known that while, yes, that is on him to have his guys ready, you also, you need leadership from your players at the same time, right? Like, a lot of times we all know it. You're going to respond typically better to a peer than a superior telling you to do something. I think we all agreed. I know that he's only a sophomore, but I think a lot of people probably thought Pettiford was maybe going to be kind of that guy leading the charge, as I think we all expected him to be the best player, and he just hasn't been.
Yeah.
And so you wonder if, and it could be a thing where, a guy like Keyshawn Hall, who, he's been Auburn's best player, but, maybe he's just not a very vocal. I don't know, but, it could just be one of those things where you just have guys that's just not their personality.
Yeah, and it's kind of the nature we are in college athletics. This is the first time a lot of these guys have ever played with each other. Like, this is the first time they're going through their slump early on. Now, again, they could snowball into late February, into March, and start looking like one of the best programs in college basketball. Not to say that they can't do it, but they don't really have an identity of who they are as a basketball team. And it's unfortunate, too, that Stephen Pearl has to make this comment when you're about 20 games in. You're 17 games into the season, and you're having body language issues. Like, that's more – I think that's more demoralizing than anything. It's one thing to go out there and just lose to better teams, but – saying that you lost before you even got there is just kind of an indictment on where you are right now. I understand that, this is his first time being a head coach. There's a lot of pressure to win, because this isn't a bad program. Like, Auburn has been on the ascension for essentially the past decade. Like, this thing has been building up, and now you're starting to hit that plateau. Okay, it sounds a little bit different. It looks a little bit different now that Bruce Pearl's gone. But, man, you stepped into this role. You've got to get a grip on it. Like, you got to understand. You've got to maybe the bodies that you have just don't work out. You got to find a solid five at all times that just gel well together. And maybe it's just the growing pains early on. But 17 games in, and you're saying that you're having body language issues. That's a red flag. That's a major problem.
Yeah, that's something you got to get figured out. The good thing is that is something that you can get figured out, and you can, that can improve during the season. But you got to have guys that want to make that happen and make that change. So we'll see what is awaits for Auburn as they fall to 10-7 now on the season. They're 1-3 in SEC play. The good news is, though, the next time you will see the Auburn Tigers this weekend at home, they're going to be playing South Carolina. So that's a game. Now, well, I guess it's a double-edged sword, right? Should be able to win that game easily, but if you don't, then, it's not going to be pretty. But I would definitely think Auburn's going to have a pretty good shot against the Gamecocks this weekend to get back on track. So we will see if they are able to do just that. But a little bit of, if you missed it last night from around the rest of the league quickly here. So if you're an Alabama fan, maybe you feel a little bit better about losing to Texas on Saturday, because they did the same thing to Vanderbilt last night, as they actually stomped Vanderbilt at the end, kind of able to pull away there. But it was an 80-64 winner there. So Vanderbilt, their first loss of the season. They're now 16-1, 3-1 in the SEC, and Texas now. I mean, I think Texas probably has the two best wins in SEC play so far, going on the road at Alabama and then beating Vanderbilt at home last night. Really, really impressive two-game run there for Sean Miller and the Longhorns. Arkansas, they beat South Carolina 108-74. So I'm just saying, you saw what Auburn did to Arkansas last week, and now what Arkansas did to South Carolina. Saying that would mean Auburn needs to win by about 50 this weekend. We'll see if they can pull it off. But the other two games you had last night were absolutely fantastic. So you had number 21 Georgia hosting Ole Miss last night. That game goes to overtime, and you get an Ole Miss buzzer beater on essentially a third shot attempt. So you had the jumper, that one short. You got the rebound, try to get the putback. That one goes off the glass, and then as the buzzer goes, just a little floater there from, about 5 feet out probably from the basket. And Ole Miss is a winner in overtime, 97-95. So a very cool moment there for the Rebels, as, they just kind of have Georgia's number these last couple of weeks. And as far as it comes to athletics, I suppose. And then how about Kentucky? Now, that was a big win last night, because if they had lost that game to LSU, who, by the way, LSU is the worst team in the SEC. They haven't won a game yet in conference play. It would have been really bad for Kentucky fans today.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you would have had people wanting Pope fired today.
Immediately.
Today. Last night, they would have wanted Mark Pope fired. But Kentucky, they were down the whole game. I mean, LSU was throttling them in the first half. You got to give credit to Kentucky for fighting back and putting themselves in a situation to win the game. But what you basically had for Kentucky was essentially the Christian Laettner play, just the 2026 version of it. But yeah, very, very cool moment there as Malachi Moreno, he hits the game winner on essentially a full court heave right there from the top of the key, just like Christian Laettner. And Kentucky gets the 75-74 win. So, again, not that the way that you won the game was impressive, but it really would have been disastrous for Kentucky. A really exciting night of college hoops yesterday around the SEC, and should be another great weekend of it as well. So that's enough basketball, though. Let's get to what's going on in the world of college football. The latest for Bama and Auburn. Some more key pieces coming back for the Crimson Tide. We'll tell you who they are next right here on Morning Jocks. 6:19 here on your Thursday. Now we're back to it being cold again. It was nice, just 42 around this time in the morning, and it was, man, should have felt like I could wear gym shorts and a t-shirt outside compared to be aware and bundle up today when you're going out to school, work, or what have you. But we appreciate you joining us here on the show. Conrad and Damien, we're going to be with you until 7 o'clock. And let's dive into the transfer portal, just kind of trying to keep you up to date on the what's going on here with both Alabama and Auburn, as well as just kind of generally around the college football world. So let's start with kind of just a general overview. So as we look at it today, and I'm just going to double check because I had looked at it before I went to bed last night, but these things change every moment, and it looks like we're still in good shape here. So according to 247 Sports, Auburn, they have the 16th best transfer portal class right now. That would include 24 commitments that they're bringing into the program. So again, that would be 16th overall, and just a quick check here, that would be 6th in the SEC. So pretty good there for Auburn and Alex Golesh, no doubt about it. We scroll down a little bit more. Alabama, they are there at 34th. So they have 10 commitments that they are bringing in, and that's going to be somewhere, 14th, 15th in the SEC. It's at the bottom. It is. Yeah. It's at the bottom. Yeah. The numbers just aren't there for Alabama, and they're probably not going to be compared to what some of these other programs are bringing in, but certainly some nice additions on both sides for both Alabama and Auburn here as we've gone through the week. But in terms of guys that you can look forward to potentially, some new prospects, we'll start with Auburn because they are set to host some defensive linemen here coming up. So today, they're actually supposed to have a 6'4", 315-pound defensive tackle from North Carolina. Yeah, big boy. DeAndre Robinson, he's supposed to be visiting the plains of Auburn sometime today, but he had 39 tackles last year, half a sack, and forced one fumble there for the Tar Heels. But yeah, certainly one of the guys that when you just look at, maybe somebody that, like a Xavier Atkins, right? Somebody that had a role somewhere, right? He played, was a contributor, but you see the potential of, man, look what we could morph you into, with more regular playing time, right? Or more reps or another off season of development. Maybe that's the kind of thing you're going to get there. But I know a lot of people very high, excuse me, on DeAndre Robinson. He, again, from North Carolina, he started his career at Florida. So he was at Florida in 24, then transferred to North Carolina this past year, and now he's visiting Auburn sometime today. And that would certainly be a nice get for them. Also coming up here sometime in the future, I don't know exactly what day yet, but Auburn is going to host a pair of defensive linemen from the Washington Huskies and their brothers, Javon and Armon Parker. They're both going to be coming in or are supposed to come in and visit the Auburn Tigers here in the near future. So, again, you can see still working there in the trenches if you are the Auburn Tigers and Alex Golesh. But just a little something to keep an eye on as we, again, get to the closing days of the transfer portal, and everyone's kind of, at this point, you're essentially just putting a bow on your class, right? Maybe there's a couple of guys or, a couple of positions of need where you're looking for depth, but this is not really the time if you're looking for starters or immediate contributors in a lot of areas. Unfortunately, that time has kind of passed, and a lot of those guys have already been swept up. But we'll see kind of how this closes. And again, as I mentioned, who knows? Maybe you start to see some guys over the next couple of days or the next day that, all right, I'm going to get in the portal because I don't want to miss my opportunity because I can't go in the spring, and I might as well just go ahead and do it now. But we'll see how all of that goes. Now, on the Alabama side of things, not so much from the transfer portal, but just as good as getting kids out of the transfer portal is getting kids to come back and not go to the NFL sometimes. And Alabama got some good news on that front yesterday. So you've got safety Keon Sabb. He announces that he's coming back for another year, which is certainly a nice get there for Alabama. And I would have to imagine, I feel like this happened last year. I think he was weighing, he could have gone to a draft last year. He probably would have been like a day 3 pick kind of thing, though. So he comes back. He's now was kind of graded as a day 2 guy, so like a round 2 potentially pick there, round 2 or 3. for Keon Sabb, but he comes back for another year for Alabama, so that's big for the secondary. But the big one was Yanze Pierre. He announces that he is coming back for the Alabama Crimson Tide. So that's certainly nice there. Led the team in tackles for loss and sacks this past season. So that was certainly the one guy I will say, yeah, you don't want to lose to your James Smiths and Quay Russalls of the world, or, Keelan Keeley's, guys that, either have or could be big-time contributors in the future. But I think Yanze Pierre clearly showed this year that if you were going to keep a guy, that was probably going to be the guy that you were going to go and break the bank on a little bit. So good, a couple of good pickups there for Alabama. And, I think you feel a little bit better now if you're an Alabama fan. Like, there's still, holes to fill and things like that. A lot of guys that are, let's just be honest, right? It looks like this is probably going to be a pretty young team next year, and a team that has a lot of potential, but a lot of guys that are raw. And, this is going to be a big opportunity for this coaching staff to kind of prove a lot of people wrong and, go and show that development that we all knew you had at Washington. You clearly did. You took a bunch of 3-star kids to a national championship game. So what are you going to do now? This is year 3. These are a lot of your guys now that are going to be in here, that are going to be getting significant playing time. There's a lot to prove and a lot on the line here. So we'll see if they're up to the challenge or not.
Yeah, and I think you got some key pieces too. For it to be as young as they're going to potentially be, you got some older guys that have played a ton of football. Keon Sabb, I mean, he played at Michigan, played at Alabama a lot last season. The past couple of seasons, biggest thing for him is just staying healthy 100% of the season. And I think that's a big thing, having Bray Hubbard come back. So you've got some quality depth that's going to be coming back. Got a lot of guys that made a lot of plays. And I understand the James Smiths and the Quay Russalls of the world. I know their names are going to hold a little bit more weight because they did play a good bit. But I don't think that you're not pressing the panic button. Like, it's not a situation where we're depleted on the defensive side. No, you got some pretty important guys that are coming back that made plays for you. So I think that they're kind of an extension of what Kane Womack is as a defensive coordinator, because they know exactly what it needs to be, what it needs to look like. And I think they'll hold that to the standard on the defensive side with having guys like Keon Sabb and Bray Hubbard and Yanze Pierre, who really started to come along later in the season. I think the biggest thing now is just depth. And we talked about the transfer portal, and, you're probably not getting guys these next couple days as far as, key starters, but you're building it up with a lot of guys that, may be looking at a different spot, maybe in a different location. But I think right now you're more interested in the depth pieces that you have that can build into the spring and see what the fall may present.
I think you're spot on with that. And again, I think a lot of things you probably feel better, I would say maybe on the defensive side, just in terms of, literally the entire secondary is coming back in terms of, the guys that were, I guess, your biggest contributors in that regard. Because Zabian Brown, Bray Hubbard, Keon Sabb, Dejon Lee, Red Morgan, they're all coming back. So that you're going to be in a good spot there. You've got Yanze Pierre coming back. London Simmons was a young guy, but somebody that, people got to know this year and got to see him play a lot and did some good things. But linebacker, you're going to have to prove it, right? You got some young guys that are going to have to step up and make that next step of your development. I know they brought the kid over from Virginia Tech. But a lot of it is you look at, you're probably going to have 2 tight ends next year that were true freshmen this year. Like, that's a very real possibility. You could have 3 or 4 guys on your offensive line that were true freshmen this past year. Again, a lot of those guys are talented and they got to play early on, but they've got to continue to develop and take that next step if Alabama wants to have anywhere near the success that they had this year and even improve upon that and try to make it even further into the postseason. But going to be an interesting offseason for both Alabama and Auburn. A lot left to go as we finalize these rosters and kind of figure out what the depth charts are looking like. And before we know it, it'll be spring practice and A-Day and all that good stuff for both Alabama and Auburn. It flies by pretty quickly here, so it's crazy to think the portal period is already almost over and we're already halfway through January, but that's how quickly things go. But we do have at least one more game coming up for us to enjoy on Monday with the national championship game. Quickly, though, the other big portal news yesterday, not from anybody in the SEC, but Oregon quarterback Dante Moore. He announced that he's going back to Oregon for the upcoming season. So not only is that great for Oregon, I think a lot of people I wouldn't be surprised if I think your top 4 teams next year will probably be Texas, Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon in some order. That is what a lot of people will roll with going into the season. Oregon should be absolutely loaded. Now, Dylan Raiola, he's going to sit for a year after transferring there to join the Ducks, so he'll sit and then presumably be their guy in 2027. And this is also good if you're Ty Simpson, right? This is kind of validation of your decision to go in the NFL and turn down $6.5 million from Miami and whoever else. Because now, we assume Fernando Mendoza will be the number 1 overall pick in the draft. After that, I mean, if you're Ty Simpson now, and I mean, if there's somebody that really wants a quarterback, if you're the Jets, maybe you're the Browns and you want to trade up, maybe the Cardinals. I mean, I would think Ty Simpson's going to have a very good shot at being a top 5 or top 10 pick, certainly, with Dante Moore's decision now being announced. So good there for Ty Simpson. Wish him the best, but just, unfortunately, I hope for his sake he doesn't end up on, the Jets or the Browns, because those franchises are absolute dumpster fires. But we will, congratulations to Oregon. They get a big returnee and quarterback, Dante Moore, for the upcoming season. But we've got more going on in the world of NFL. So how about a big-time coaching change in the NFL? We'll dive into that, tell you what's going on in the coaching care, and just continue the college football and NFL football discussion. This is the Thursday edition of Morning Jocks. Welcome back in here to Morning Jocks. Conrad Van Order and Damian Mitchell here with you in Kublick in the morning at 7 o'clock. They'll be with you from 7 to 10, then three-man front from 10 to 2, and, of course, the Paul Fine after that from 2 to 6. So no reason for you to change that dial, as we will keep you up to date and continue the college football conversation all day long right here on Jocks. And as we all know, flu season is here, and you can make your home healthier now with Train's Clean Effects Home Air Cleaner, because it does remove up to 99.9% of airborne particles, including those causing virus. It's 100 times more effective than standard air filters and 8 times more effective than those HEPA room filters. So go find a dealer near you online today at train.com. So some other things going on around the world of sports. So the big news breaking late last night, so I'm sure many of you either just saw it when you woke up this morning or haven't had a chance to see it yet. But that is that John Harbaugh, it appears, will be the next head coach of the New York Football Giants. So no, Lane Kiffin wasn't going to go and be with Jackson Dart and be reunited there in New York. Marcus Freeman didn't want the job. Mike Tomlin, I guess, wants to go and do television. So John Harbaugh, he kind of had his pick of the litter when it came to a lot of these jobs. And I know at one point he was, I guess, reviewing and comparing the tape of Cam Ward and Jackson Dart and kind of just weighing all of his options. And I don't say that to mean that, he thought Cam Ward was trash or something.
No, it's all good. I didn't take it as such.
Okay.
I felt it, but I tried not to take it as such.
Well,
You know ball. No, but I do think this is it's a home run hire for the New York Giants if it works. Like John Harbaugh is a hell of a coach. The credentials, the resume speaks for itself. And for the New York Giants, if you are where you think you should be after Tom Coughlin and the long string of coaches that you've had since then, yeah, it's a perfect marriage if it works. And John Harbaugh had his pick of the litter. I'm pretty sure every single coaching vacancy that they had, he got a text message or a call. And I think when you look at just the landscape of it all and what you think, to me, there's a lot of upside with New York. And, defensively, you look at their edge rushers. You got Brian Burns and, you got Kayvon Thibodeau. You got all those guys that the pieces are there.
Yeah, you got Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the pieces are there. Offensively, can you unlock the potential of Jackson Dart? We know if Malik Neighbors is 100%, what he can do. I think you still got some question marks in the run game with the guys that you have. But I do think when you look at the roster stability, and even comparing it to my Tennessee Titans, it's not really – there's a lot more upside. It's just a tougher division in the NFC East. That's the only thing. But he's been in the AFC North pretty much his entire head coaching career, so he ain't no punk. He ain't afraid of this. But I do think that John Harbaugh is a perfect fit for what the New York Giants are going to build.
Yeah, I love that hire personally. And again, I think he would have been, he probably could have done a really, really good job anywhere. But like you said, that upside that the Giants have where you look at their record and you go, man, they stink. Then you watch them play sometimes and you're like, okay, like you could see where, not saying that they're, going to do what the Patriots did this year under Mike Vrabel, but you could very easily see where that's a team that next year could go and win, 9 games, something like that, under new leadership and another year of growth for Jackson Dart and Scadaboo and Carter and some of those guys. So, but yeah, great job there by the Giants, I think, to get that one done, especially because I know, again, I'm not taking a shot at the Titans, but they were planning to interview him today, and I guess the Giants said, no, we're not letting you go. We want to get this done right now. So they identified their guy, and it looks like that is going to be made official later on today. But apparently, being reported that they came to an agreement last night from Adam Schefter, and they're very, very close to getting that deal officially done. So as far as the Titans go for you, Damian, is there a guy that you've had your eye on or somebody that because obviously I'm sure you would have liked to have a John Harbaugh, but you probably knew there was a good chance that maybe he would take another opportunity. So yeah. In terms of where you go now, assuming Mike Tomlin is not, because he said that he, wants to take a year off from coaching. So.
Yeah. When you kind of look at the pool that's out there, nobody really necessarily jumps off the page. Because here's the thing. We're in a total rebuild. We assume that we have our quarterback of the future. We don't have anything around him. So it's kind of one of those things where you look at a coach that's out there now that, hey, you've coached. Crazy enough, I think Brian Daboll. He's kind of snuck up there for me.
He's a great coach.
Yeah, man, if you actually put him in the right situation around the right pieces, he can kind of get you right, at least offensively. Defense, up until this past season, hadn't necessarily been the Achilles heel because we kept teams within striking range. We just couldn't produce anything offensively. So I look at Kevin Stefanski, a guy that's been at Cleveland, and by way of circumstance, it wasn't necessarily his fault. He kind of overachieved in certain seasons, and in other seasons, kind of I'm working with what I got.
Hasn't he won Coach of the Year twice in like the last 3 years?
Yeah. So if you have enough patience, he could kind of work out or at least get us back, afloat. But right now, I mean, I don't think Mike McDaniel is that great of a coach. Now, if you have him an offensive coordinator, I think he could be dynamic.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But I think right now we're just kind of looking at, everything situation. Is there another McVay guy out there that's coached under Sean McVay that could potentially, take that reign and just make that offense a little bit more dynamic and work with Cam Ward's skill set? But right now, Brian Daboll is kind of like the name that I wouldn't be too upset if he ends up being the head coach, because I do think in a certain situation that he could actually be pretty good. But the pool, and you look at the guys that have been fired, it's kind of slim. So you're either banking on a coordinator that's on a good team that hasn't been a head coach, or you're taking a list of guys that may have not reached their full potential at the places that they were at as head coaches, but at least they have that experience.
And I feel like there's not like last year, I think we all knew. Now, granted, I didn't expect them to be as good this quickly as they have been, but I think we all agreed, like, wherever Ben Johnson went, like, he was, like, that dude was good.
It was
right.
Gonna
like,
work.
we all kind of knew, like, all right, he's going to be a very, very good coach.
Yep.
And it just doesn't feel like there's really that guy this year, right? Like, I know you got Kubiak there at Seattle, which, I mean, to his credit, I mean, he won 14 games with Sam Darnold and I mean, got the number 1 seed in the NFC. Like, that's really, really impressive. But again, it's like, okay, that's 1 year. Are you confident that that's somebody that can come in and have a Ben Johnson like effect? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where a lot of these teams ultimately go, because there's a lot of jobs out there for sure, and they got to be filled. And I just, when I see things like the Arizona Cardinals are interviewing Arthur Smith to be their head coach, I just kind of go, what the hell are we doing? But that's the merry-go-round that is coaching in the NFL, and I guess that's the benefit of it. Once you get in, you kind of just get to rotate your way around, even if maybe it's time to give some new guys an opportunity. But I digress. That's why I don't have a favorite NFL team. I just get to kind of sit back and
you can be a Titans fan. It's not bad.
What it is.
It's not bad.
I'll wait until y'all are good again, and then
Oh, that'll be quick.
hop on the bat.
That'll be quickly. I mean, you could be a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, but
Even I know I don't want to do that.
Exactly.
Ugh.
Exactly. I feel the exact same way.
It's just, and I don't even know why. It's just
they're just front runners, man. They just they have a little bit of success, and all of a sudden, we're the best team in the NFL. Nah.
Oh.
When you've watched Trevor Lawrence for as long as I have, and I understand a lot of people hold what he did in college to a high regard, which is fine. But he's a pro now. He's a pro.
He's got 2 playoff wins under his belt.
Congratulations.
It's pretty good, 2.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot. That's more.
It's just like that song, 2 is better than 1, right?
Absolutely.
That's what I always say. All right, well, we want to hear from you. 9450. Some of you chiming in on the courtesy GMC text line. We also see you on the phone lines as well. So we get your thoughts, your reaction for the NFL coaching carousel, as well as SEC hoops. That's all coming up on JOX. Well, welcome back in here to Morning Jocks. Conrad and Damien here with you. About to get MC text line, but I did just see something that I've been seeing stuff on social media about it last night, and around this time there's a lot of things that get posted that you just never know how true it is, I guess, or maybe it was exaggerated a little bit, things like that. But what I'm talking about is you have the Ole Miss football program, and supposedly something that I'm sure would affect a lot of locker rooms, but there is a rumor going around that somehow or some way it leaked out to the Ole Miss players essentially what all of their teammates are making. And that certain people didn't respond particularly well to finding out that they were making less money than maybe other teammates that they thought hadn't earned that over them, or maybe some guys that were newer to the program that were making more money than people that had been there for longer. And I say that because one of the names that I saw mentioned in that, in terms of who was maybe the most upset about that, was TJ Daughtery, who is a linebacker there for the Ole Miss Rebels, came over from Clemson a couple years ago, and he entered the transfer portal overnight. So I just kind of just makes you wonder. Just makes you wonder. But certainly a very nice player there for the Ole Miss Rebels, and somebody that I think will find a new home very quickly, and certainly have his options in terms of where he does go. But I didn't know if you had heard anything about that with your Rebels, Damien, or not. But it's just one of those like, oh, that would be an interesting story. And then, he goes in the portal and you go, interesting. That's seems like maybe there was some merit to that story.
Listen, until proven otherwise, I'm just gonna I'm blaming Lane Kiffin for all this.
Fair.
Anything that goes wrong in Oxford for the next calendar year, I'm blaming Lane Kiffin.
See, somebody says if this is true, Lane Kiffin is for sure the league.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I blame him. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. I can't stand that guy.
Honestly, okay, again, all of this stuff, like petty, whatever, that would be like kind of a gangster thing to do, though. Like, again, not in a 100%. In a bad way, but like in a
it's like cerebral. Like, dang, dog, you cripple him at the
like
knees.
You're really going for just like
burning
the
bridges.
Nastiest ways that you can handle this.
He'll never be able to come back to Oxford.
Just like, I mean, like, what does that look like? Like a screenshot or something that you like happen to like, oh, I didn't mean to send that to you,
right?
Kind of a thing, or
the old reply all to email. Just, oh my goodness, I didn't know this was going to land in our star linebacker's email address. I forgot he was even in that. Hey, Keywan Lacey, I just found this document, man. I think you may need to look at it.
Yeah, so we've got like 3 people now on the courtesy GMC text line saying, yeah, this was definitely Lane Kiffin that leaked this information if this happened.
It's like Watergate all over again.
That's wild. It's
He is our Richard Nixon, man.
Is he?
Yeah, absolutely.
I haven't heard that comparison before, but I guess if somebody has to be.
Exactly.
Let's Lewis asked on the GMC text line, he says, has Damien declared he's going in the fan portal, or is he taking extra time to make his decision? Since y'all went to the playoffs and you made it so far, you get a couple extra days to
absolutely
make up your mind.
But why would I leave when we're on top?
So are you going to do one of those re-sign graphics or whatever?
Maybe so.
That we're seeing now?
Maybe so.
Okay.
But no, listen, hotty toddy, man.
But you're sticking?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, you have to make a decision by tomorrow because there's no spring.
Yeah, there's no spring
fandom portal. That's not how that works.
No. We got Deuce Knight, bro, and Walker Howard. Welcome back.
And Walker. Yeah, you're right.
Welcome back.
You're right. Let's see. Callum from Birmingham says the Titans should hire Kevin Stefanski, but if he doesn't come, then Raheem Morris would also be a great coach. I would not want to hire nothing. I mean, again,
I think he's a better coordinator.
Correct.
I think he's a better coordinator. And we've seen him enough now as a head coach.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Some guys like that's just that's your thing. There's nothing wrong with that. Just embrace that. Do you think Brian Flores is the same way? Because I feel like he's one of those guys too that in the right situation, like maybe for the Steelers or something. Because I really like him, but we've also seen like in Miami, it kind of
he broke Tua.
There were some issues there.
He broke Tua mentally, and then other teams broke him physically.
Correct.
But I think in the right situation, he could be okay.
I think he's a great coach. I just think,
Yeah, maybe.
maybe he just needed to learn how to be a head coach.
Yeah, and
He's a great defensive mind.
that's what it is. It's yeah, I think he's like
One of
Raheem
the
Morris. He's a better coordinator than he is a head coach. If
Yeah.
he's not calling all the decisions, makes perfect sense.
There you have it. So it's going to be a wild offseason there in the NFL with some of these coaching changes. Somebody asked who you would want as the next Titans head coach, but we kind of talked about that in the last segment with Damon giving a lot of his thoughts on that. Somebody says they're making fun of the Titans for getting rid of Mike Vrabel
It sucks.
when they did. All right, let's close it out with Don. Sorry, Don. We're going to let you close out the show. Your thoughts on Auburn basketball last night. I know you've been waiting by patiently.
No, well, I appreciate that, Conrad, but I'm sitting here looking at the schedule, and if we keep on playing like this, I got us going 17-17 and missing the tournament this year for the first time in a long time. What you guys think?